Here are my 2024 Macbeth predictions. I'm going to be going through all the past paper questions that have come up with full essay plans of my predictions. So if they do come up, you know what to write. So 2017, it was how does Shakespeare present ambition? And the extract was from Act 1, Scene 5, when Lady Macbeth is saying, too full of the milk of human kindness. 2018, it was how Shakespeare presents the attitudes of Macbeth and Banquo towards the supernatural. This was from Act 1, Scene 3, when Banquo calls them the instruments of darkness. 2019 was Macbeth presented as a violent character. It was the extract when he's talking about was smoked with bloody execution. 2020, it was Lady Macbeth as a female character who changes throughout the play. The extract was Act 5, Scene 1, out damn spot. 2021 was the relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and that was from Act 2, Scene 2, when Macbeth is saying, "Methought I heard a voice cry." 2022, it was Macbeth's fears. The extract was Act 3, Scene 1, when he talks about like the fruitless crown. And 2023 was Macbeth as a male character that changes. The extract was Act 5, Scene 3, just before he's about to go into war. Now, my predictions. Now, remember guys, I have not seen the exam paper, and anybody who's gonna give you predictions and say it's gonna be this or told you they've got the exam paper, they're lying. But these are my predictions, and then let's go through some essay plans. So I've got three kind of main predictions. The first one is supernatural. The only question that we've got so far is Macbeth and Banquo's fear about the supernatural, but we've never had anything on the witches. So remember, Act 1, Scene 1 potentially could come up. Maybe Act 4, Scene 1, when we see Macbeth's interaction with the witches. Both of those could come up. Now, we've never had anything explicitly about guilt. We've had extracts that show guilt, like 2020, 2021, 2022. They all show guilt, but never anything about the consequences of killing the king, or maybe the consequences of kingship. So that could be a nice little link together. I'm thinking like the consequences of insert something, and then you can link it to guilt. And then my third prediction is kingship. Now, kingship just means being king, but they've never really examined anything about that. That's why I'm thinking it could be the consequences of like violating kingship, or the consequences of something to do with kingship. And for kingship, it could also link to Macduff and Malcolm, potentially could be an extract with Macduff and Malcolm when they're talking between them, and then you kind of compare Macduff, Malcolm to Macbeth, who of course is a tyrant. Okay, let's go through an essay plan for kingship. So if kingship came up, being king, this is what you could write. Just to give you a bit of a top tip as well, when you are writing up essays linking it to other key themes, try use key themes in each paragraph to really help you out. So when I'm going to be linking it to kingship, I'm actually going to be linking it to three key themes. I'm going to be linking it to ambition, I'm going to link it to gender, and I'm going to link it to guilt. And then that just means I've got a really clear focus for each paragraph, and my 3 points are going to be really different. So my first point is Macbeth's hamartia, remember hamartia is his fatal flaw, is his unchecked ambition. Unchecked means uncontrollable. Propelling him to become a bloodthirsty tyrant. Tyrant is a cruel and oppressive leader who defies the divine right of kings and acquires the illegitimate title of king. Illegitimate means it's not meant to be his. So my first point is about Macbeth's ambition propels him to violate the idea of kingship, to violate what it constitutes to being a proper king. And I've also linked it to the divine right of kings. And as we know, the divine right of kings is the belief that God chose the king. So of course, by Macbeth's ambition, his unchecked ambition, propelling him to commit regicide, which is killing of the king, directly goes against the divine right of kings. That would be my first point. So any of these quotes that we've given you, any of these points have come from the Light Up Hubs. If you do want the grade 9 analysis, all done for you, linked to the key themes, the context, we've got summary videos, it's not too late to get it before your exam, guys. Even if you get it for a couple of weeks before, write loads of notes, memorize them, I promise you it will be a massive, massive help. And the quote I would give to support that is, "Stars, hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires," Act 1. Again, this signifies Macbeth's unchecked ambition, how he wants to hide these deep desires, this dark, malevolent power within him that is propelled by his ambition. Malevolent just means evil. My second point I would link it to is the key theme of gender. So like I said before, if we can link it to some key themes, it makes your life a lot easier. So I'm gonna link it to Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's relationship and how that links to kingship. Through Lady Macbeth's duplicitous, which means deceitful, and manipulative tactics of emasculation basically means that she's using his masculinity against him, she urges Macbeth to commit regicide, killing of the king, and fulfill his sinful ambition to become king. So the second point I'm making is I'm linking the idea of Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's relationship, and particularly her emasculation of Macbeth, so using his masculinity against him, is catalyzes, almost produces, him to commit regicide. Because arguably, if she did not threaten his identity as a man, because of course, think about Jacobean society, being a man was so integral, so important to the identity. If she didn't threaten that, maybe he wouldn't have been as likely to commit regicide, because it was so atypical. Atypical means it's not typical for a woman to be in a position of power in the Jacobean era. And of course, by her emasculate Macbeth, he felt he had more to prove. And the way that he proved that is through committing regicide, which is killing of the king. And that's how it links to kingship. So the quote that we could use to support that is, "Too full of the milk of human kindness," Act 1. So again, that's a tactic of her dupliciousness, so her deceitfulness, because she's trying to deceive Macbeth. She knows his weakness is his hubris, which is his pride, so therefore she emasculates him. And my third point is I'm going to link it to guilt. I feel like you should always try to have a guilt paragraph in there if you can. It's such a good way you can link any key theme to it, because the consequence of any key theme is basically his guilt. Consequence of him violating kingship is his guilt. The consequence of his ambition is his guilt. The consequence of him being involved with supernatural prophecies is his guilt. So everything you can link back to guilt, so important. Macbeth's transgression, so going against, divine law and his acquiring of kingship through violent acts leads to his tragic demise. Demise is like a downfall. Thus, engulfed by guilt, engulfed means consumed, he descends into madness, completely losing his sanity. Now, really nice way we can do it is of course linking Macbeth's violation, him going against kingship, him taking it into his own hands, and how it directly leads to his demise and his downfall. Little keyword we can stick in there as well, that he is our tragic hero. So important as a keyword. Tragic hero is because he starts off valiant, noble Macbeth, and he has a downfall. Hence, he's our tragic hero. And the bit of evidence we can use to support this is a dagger which I see before me. This literally illustrates the beginning of his hallucinations and how, of course, that guilt is completely consuming his conscience. Remember, conscience is conscience, is knowing right from wrong, and that is now being consumed by guilt. Now, my second essay plan is if anything on the supernatural comes up, I want you to write these 3 points. Now, supernatural, I think, would be slightly harder than kingship, but I think with this plan, it will make your life so much easier. So the 3 things that we're gonna link it to, we're gonna link it to Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, and the witches. That's how we're gonna encapsulate the supernatural. You could alternatively do a paragraph on Banquo and Macbeth's view towards the supernatural. Although that was examined before, you could still write a paragraph on it if you wanted to, but I feel like most students would feel less confident writing about Banquo and more confident writing about Lady Macbeth. So my first paragraph would be this. Macbeth cannot resist the irresistible allure is like it pulls you in, of the self-fulfilling prophecies of the witches. Self-fulfilling because he arguably fulfills it himself. It's arguably self-fulfilling because he actually fulfills the prophecy. He actually commits regicide to become king. It's not just given to him. The prophecy of him being Thane of Cawdor, you could argue, is actually a prophecy because he doesn't do anything to make it come true, but the prophecy of him being king is self-fulfilling because he fulfills it to achieve that. He is entranced by their hypnotic predictions and is blinded by their dupliciousness. Remember, duplicitous means deceitfulness. So the first paragraph is all about Macbeth and about the irresistible allure, so the pull of the supernatural powers, and how, of course, that means that he indulges in these self-fulfilling prophecies and commits regicide, leading to his downfall. So if you are one of the students who uses 2 quotes per paragraph, so just to remind you, we've got 2 different structures you can use. You know I don't like pill or petal on this channel. You can either use peta eta qual or peta ta qual. So if you use peta eta qual, so you use 2 bits of evidence per paragraph, then I would do another quote that supports Macbeth's downfall and then link it to Macbeth's downfall. But the main quote for everyone that you can use is "So foul and fair a day I have not seen," Act 1. This is Macbeth's first line in the entire play. So this instantly shows how susceptible, so like how easy it is for them to deceive him from the beginning, because he already mirrors their language. Remember, foul and fair, think about fair is foul and foul is fair. It directly emulates, so mimics, the witches. So my second point would be on Lady Macbeth. Lady Macbeth is presented as a like to a fourth witch. She calls upon malevolent supernatural powers to help her get rid of the societal constraints imposed by her femininity. Now, societal constraints, think about what expectations society would put on Lady Macbeth and how she's trying to call upon supernatural powers and the spirit to help her reverse it. Really nice link to patriarchy. And remember, patriarchy is a male-dominated society, and how you can link that Lady Macbeth has to call upon these spirits because the societal structure is so rigid, like it's so strong, it's so hard to break, it's so hard for her to acquire power as a woman, so she has to resort to the supernatural. So the quote that we can use for this: "Come you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here." Literally illustrates in her language, she's talking about spirits, she's calling upon the supernatural. And the third point I'm gonna make is of course about the witches. Now remember, you will get an extract for Macbeth, so you could just adapt these points to whatever the extract is. But likely if you got the supernatural, you're probably gonna get an extract on the witches, or maybe Macbeth and the witches. The witches embody the archetype, so archetype is a perfect example, of deceitful supernatural beings. They grasp Macbeth's human weakness, his hubris and ambition, which they easily exploit in the allure of power and status. So what we're talking about here is about how they are easily able to deceive Macbeth because they know what to manipulate. Just like Lady Macbeth knows what to manipulate with Macbeth in terms of emasculating him, the witches do the same because they know his hubris, his excessive pride, is easy to manipulate by giving him these self-fulfilling prophecies. And also in Act 4, Macbeth comes to the witches and he starts demanding things of them. So they almost accentuate their duplicitousness, so their deceitfulness, because he now believes he's more powerful than them. So they're almost like, "Ah, you thought? Yeah, well, now we're gonna give you loads of prophecies and you really are gonna think you're indestructible." So the evidence that supports that is, "No man of woman born shall harm Macbeth." This perfectly illustrates this. Macbeth's hubris, his excessive pride, he believes he's more powerful than supernatural. So they've now taken it up a notch and been like, okay, well, we're gonna say, Macbeth, you're so indestructible, no one born of a woman can harm you. And Macbeth's thinking, oh, everyone's born of a woman, literally no one's gonna kill me, these people are right. But of course, we know that Macduff, the person who actually beheads Macbeth, he was not born from a woman exactly. He was born by a cesarean or a C-section. So he was cut open. He wasn't born through the natural way. And therefore, they're being very duplicitous and deceitful. Also, in terms of the witches, you could go for a quote if you're just talking about how they're the archetypes of the supernatural. Fair is foul and foul is fair would also work. It depends on which way you want to go with it. So make sure as well, guys, you subscribe to the channel because we've been putting out more of these videos to help you before your exams. Send this to a friend to help them out as well, because if any of these predictions are right, I don't know, they could be, they couldn't be. But if they're not, it was a good bit of revision, right? I will see you in the next video. Bye.